recording. But I thank you all for coming today. So again, my name is Kristen Sanchez. I am a librarian at the Rio Grande campus. And so I wanted to share with you all today a brand new building that we have on our campus. It's fantastic. It's state of the art. It has a lot to offer our students, and it has just neat equipment. And I think it's something that I would like everyone to be familiar with, to know what kind of services, what kind of classes we provide, what kind of career choices our students can go into. And so if you're a student and interested in finding out what kind of health disciplines we have, I invite you to check that out, because we do offer quite a bit of wonderful careers that you can choose from. So I'm going to start off, and I am going to give you I guess what you would call a virtual tour with air quotes, because I wanted to make sure you saw everything very well, because sometimes our video cameras, give out on us and things. So I took a lot of photographs, and so it's going to be a photographic journey, but I wanted to start off with a video that was taken during our grand opening days. It's just a few minutes long, but I want you to kind of get a feel for the way the building looks when people are in it and all the lights are on and everything is going. So I'm going to start off by showing you a video real quick, and then we'll go into our virtual tour. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy our session today.
I am proud to welcome you all to our newest building addition on the Rio Grande campus. Finally.
We would not be able to be celebrating the grand opening of this project without the efforts of so many. Each of you here today are an important part of this project and all of the success that EPCC has accomplished. It could not be done without you. Let me take one other member and one small point. Let me thank Dr. Carrie Moe, who has facilitated and arranged and worked on each of the 5 previous grand openings, as well as this 6th grand opening. We started these in 2019, and here we are today in 2022, completing our final project. So thank you, Dr. Moe, and everyone who's worked on this, absolutely. Our faculty and staff are leaders in their respective fields and experts at what they do. I want to recognize the work of our faculty members who work each day at this campus to guide and help students reach their full potential.
I am currently a lab assistant and a recent graduate of the paramedic program for EPCC. Here at Rio Grande, we just opened our new sim lab. As you can see, the ambulance behind us, it provides a great resource for our students so they can get like the real life experience of what it would be like to be in an ambulance. And then we also have our mannequins so they can practice intubating, as well as our IV arms to get blood draws, practice their IV skills, practice their IV medications, as well as their IV bags and all that good stuff.
Our staff who support our students tirelessly while working to keep the campus running smoothly every day, and our students who are the reason why we're here. They are our inspiration and they are our future.
Hello, my name is Marta Almega Chavez, and I'm the phlebotomy technician instructor at El Paso Community College. We are at the Rio Grande campus. Okay, what we do on this program is that we help prepare the students to perform as professional phlebotomy technicians in the field. They're able to get jobs in labs. They're able to get at the blood bank, at research labs. They can work on visiting nursing association. They can work in hospitals, clinics. There's so much, field for them to work on.
Hi, I'm Isela Montero. I'm a student from El Paso Community College. Here, decided to go for the phlebotomy technician career. I believe El Paso Community College is one of the best schools here in El Paso.
Good morning. This is so exciting. It's such a beautiful building. I drive down here every day to get to the courthouse where I work, and so congratulations to everyone, especially the students who deserve such an amazing building. This is for you, and all our efforts were for you. With that said, thank you, Dr. Serrata. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, thank you for being part of our campus transformations. Once again, thank you to all EPCC employees, our outstanding business and industry and educational partners, as well, of course, as our neighbors in the Sunset Heights district.
This building offers over 212,000 square feet of space that facilitates the learning and success, including 20 classrooms, 25 offices for our highly qualified faculty to work with their students, 16 simulation labs, 375 parking spots, plus, as Dr. Sorata mentioned, many collaborative spaces for students to engage with professors and with one another.
El Paso Community College is helping me achieve my professional goals by providing an affordable, high-quality education that will help me ensure a sustainable future.
I'm a second year in the medical imaging technology radiography program here at UPCC. I was asked why UPCC is the best place to start and finish, and today I'm more than glad to share my experience. Setting aside the affordability, EPCC has an ease of access that makes it easy for anyone to take a step towards a better future. From the start of my experience at EPCC, I never felt like I was left alone to figure things out by myself. There was always someone available to help me with the warmth and respect that's characteristic of our border city.
State of Texas Certificate of Recognition presented to El Paso Community College in commemoration of the ribbon cutting ceremony and open house on June 8th, 2022 for its grand opening of the Career and Technical Education CTE building J at the Rio Grande campus. Congratulations on this special occasion and best wishes for continued success. Thank you so much.
So as you can see, I mean, it's just an incredible building. As they mentioned, we are in the Sunset Heights district. So we're right in the middle of the historic areas of El Paso. So we have a wonderful, wonderful neighborhood. It's not your typical campus. You're in the middle of homes and some little businesses. We're down the street from hospitals. We're down the street from downtown. If you've never been to our campus, I hope you enjoy this tour because the building's beautiful and it has a lot to offer. And there's just a lot of neat things here on Rio Grande campus. So if you haven't had a chance to come over, I hope you do. If you notice, we call it the health building, you know, or building J, but if you notice, the actual building is a career and technical education building, building J. And so they have a lot to offer all students. It's not just for health. And so if you're not a health discipline student and you do go to Rio Grande, you can feel free to use that building. That building is for everyone. It's got classrooms, it's used by English disciplines. Criminal justice has a wonderful room you're going to see. It's also got a simulated room. So there's a lot to offer. So if you're a student or faculty or staff and haven't gone over there, please do check it out because it is really neat. So I'm going to go through my little virtual tour here. And we're going to kind of start off by talking about some facts. And these are the facts that Dr. Smith mentioned in his video right now. Some of the facts are, it is a 212,000 square foot building. It is 7 stories. So let me go back to that first picture so you can get a feel for it. If you look here, the first 5 floors are actually going to be parking garage levels. The top 2 floors, you'll see with all the beautiful windows, those are classrooms and, you know, different rooms that are here in the building. They are not parking. So it's just the first 5 parking levels are a parking garage, which was desperately needed here in the downtown area where we have street parking and limited parking spaces in the parking lots. So there is 375 parking spaces in there. Within those 2 floors, there are 20 classrooms, 25 offices. There's group study rooms, which is desperately needed on our campus. People love to study together. They get in their groups, and we desperately needed more space for that. They also have open study areas where you can just lounge on a couch or a chair while you're waiting in between classes, or if you're just doing some studying, they have some open study areas as well. They're not in rooms. As well as a computer lab facility. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. The computer lab is not an open lab for student use. It is actually used by instructors because a lot of the disciplines have to do testing. And so that computer lab is specifically for that purpose. There is also a part-time faculty office that has computers. It has a sink. It's really nice. It holds, I think, about 8 computers, as well as some conference rooms that are in those floors as well. There's a criminal justice simulated courtroom, a state-of-the-art health occupation training rooms. I mean, you've got to see these rooms. You'll see them right now. Interprofessional Simulation Education Center, which is a very unique item to this area, and it is fantastic. So here we go. So this was the architectural renderings back, I believe, in 2018. We went to what we would call a groundbreaking for this building. And so they had the renderings of what it was going to look like. And as you can see, it's very, very good, because that is exactly what it looks like. And I have one of the floors showing where they had all of the plans for what's going to be going into these different areas. So this was back, I guess, 4 years ago. So there was the groundbreaking, and as you see, they're not really breaking a ground. They're inside what is known here at the Rio Grande as the Little Temple. It is a former synagogue that is utilized for special events and things like that. So the area where the building is actually built upon was a parking lot prior to becoming Building J. So they really couldn't break that ground with those shovels, so they did the official groundbreaking with buckets of sand and the shovels. So you'll see a photo there on the right of them doing that in 2018. And then we actually see the actual groundbreaking. We have a wonderful patron here at Rio Grande campus that takes photographs for us. And his name's Leo Militich. So I'd like to thank him for these photographs that you're going to see on the next couple of slides. He took photos over the construction period. And so these are some of them. You'll see that they're building, up the dirt and digging out the parking lot that was there before. And so that did cause a lot of problems here on the campus, because of course that took a lot of parking spaces away. And so that did cause some issues. So we were thankful to see a parking garage. 2019, if you look up here, this is them building onto the roof already. This is just a year later. 2020, the structure's up. 2021 and 2021, you'll see how much has been achieved over those years. And these were the last two photos that I kept on here. I just like the way they look. If you look at the top photo, what's kind of cool is you'll see that building in the front, and that's kind of the signature building here at Rio Grande campus. You'll see that steeple. It used to belong to the El Paso Independent School District, and it was actually built in 1925. So I thought it was kind of neat to see the comparison of a building that's 100 years different in age to the brand new building behind it. So that is Building A, and then now Building J behind it. Yeah, so it's kind of cool. I love history. So, and if you look at the bottom, that is a nice view of the back side of Building J, where you can see the parking garage areas. This is from the El Paso Street side that you can see this building. The building is actually located on Oregon and Montana streets. It's, a little bit down from Montana, but it's actually, that's about the location right there. Okay, so let's start looking at, this was the grand opening. That was the nice graphic that they put for the grand opening. It was on June 8th of this year. And there's the ribbon cutting with all the deans and the president and some board members. And this is how you get in the building. So on the Oregon Street side, you'll see there's some doors right there. It says EPCC. There's doors that take you right into an elevator. Right there as you enter, you'll go on your right-hand side. There's an elevator. There's the entrance. There's one entrance on that side that goes into the parking garage. And you'll see what it looks like on the main floor of the parking garage right there on your right side on that photo. That glassed area on the right is where the elevator is located. So that is how you can go on up. There is another entrance to the parking garage on the side between the Building A, the one I showed you right now with the steeple, and between the parking garage. I just don't have a photo of that entrance. But this is the other entrance into the building. You'll see here, you can see on the first photograph, that brown building in the back is our Student Services Center. So you can come up from across the street from there straight up to the building, up some stairs. On the side of that entrance is our police department. You'll see in the middle picture a little house off to the left side. That is our police department here on campus. Once you enter the building, you do encounter a staircase and you go on up into the elevator. And you do go up to the 6th and 7th floors in order to get to the spaces, not the parking areas. You'd have to go all the way up to 6th floor. So once you get off on the elevators, there are directories, and I think this is a great feature that they have in this building is there's directories on each floor to tell you what's on that floor. So like this one I took from the 6th floor. So it's telling you some of the items. It runs through all of these slides that you'll see here, telling you where it's located and what is on that floor. So this is the 6th floor. I did a lot of walking over the last few days, taking all of these photos, so I hope the photos do it justice. So number one, we have a great criminal justice sim courtroom. I had never seen this before, and I think this is such a great idea. I think if you look here in this photograph, you'll see some of the areas that are represented. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the next slide so you can see it closer. So here you'll see these blue chairs off on this first picture. This is like to mock up a jury area. So they can have, and let me show you these areas and then I'll tell you more about the room. They can have people that are representing a jury sit there. If you look to the second picture over, that would represent what is known as the bench, like where the judge or moderator or whoever it might be is sitting, speaking to, you know, the courtroom. And then if you'll look on the bottom photo, that is like a witness stand or a witness box where someone who is up there can sit. And so it's to represent what a situation would typically look like. So even criminal justice has a wonderful sim lab inside of there. So for the mock courtroom, they consider it a hands-on setting. They could actually participate and observe mock trials, court hearings, criminal and civil justice proceedings. And these are designed to make people have critical thinking and do some critical writing. So you're actually applying what you're learning in the classroom in an actual setting that you might encounter in this type of field. And so, as I said, it's a real world simulation of how the actual U.S. justice system operates. So they provide lectures, simulated exercises, they'll bring in guest speakers, and this allows students to better understand the courtroom process and the roles of judges, prosecutors, etc. And criminal justice is one of the more popular majors. So to have this type of setting here at EPCC is fantastic, and I think it offers a lot for our students to be able to participate in these kind of mock situations. On the 6th floor, there is also our newest degree that is here for the health occupations. It is the echocardiography department. So it's called the Echocardiac Sonography Lab. It is on the 6th floor. If you'll notice the equipment there, it is state of the art. It is what is used in the hospitals. And so our students are actually learning on tools that they'll find in their settings when they become employed or work in their clinicals. Okay, they have a what they call a mannequin, and this one is named Eve. And what it does is it actually runs through scenarios for the students. They can actually do some active scanning on these simulators. And so you'll see, you know, a picture of a heart on a screen. It's because it is connected to this mannequin, and students will be working on this mannequin and running through scenarios that their instructor loads, and they'll be able to perform an echocardiograph and be able to see what the instructor has programmed it to do, so they'll be able to see, you know, when things, you know, occur for different events, like different syndromes or whatever the patient might be experiencing. So it's running an active simulation. It actually has 4 exam rooms, so that one with the mannequin was one of them, and there's 3 other exam rooms. They actually have treadmills, so that when you have to do one of those stress echoes, you know, you have to go in and do your stress test, they can actually simulate that here in the lab, where they have people doing these stress tests, and then they can do their echoes on them. They also have computers. You'll see some in the back over there. They have 10 computers, so the students can sit there and do their practice exams for their registry exam. So a lot of the health disciplines require, once you finish the program, that you take licensing exams, because you'll need to get credentialed to say that you know how to be an echocardiographer, so that's why they'll need to take some of these tests. And they also can do things on those computers like orientations, because their clinical site requires them to do different types of orientations before they go there. So those computers are there for their students. And then you'll see that they have some of these plastic models to show all of the different body parts, as well as those little circles off to the right show all the buildup of cholesterol and plaque in your in your heart. So I didn't get too close to those. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next one. This is actually the computer lab on the 6th floor. So this computer lab is really kind of cool. I'm going to show you an up-close picture. It has 60 computers. And if you'll notice, in the back of the top picture, there's a screen that comes down out of the ceiling. This room can actually be divided into two. So a little bit to the right of that photo, there's some tracks up against the ceiling. And those tracks are a divider that can pull apart and can divide the room into two. So there's 30 on each side. But again, the room is something else. It can have 30 computers on one side with an instructor podium, or you can have 60 together and that one instructor podium can control the entire room. So usually they're using it for instructors that are bringing their students to test, as I mentioned. So it's not really an open lab. But she said that the students can get very distracted, because look at that view at the bottom. That is a view out of those windows, and it's incredible. So I had to take photos. I took photos of not only the rooms, but of all the views I could see out of the window. So it's really incredible. Okay, so now we're going to move on up to the 7th floor. Okay, on the 7th floor is another one of our health programs. It's radiology tech. And it has, again, I can't say this enough, state-of-the-art medical imaging, hospital-grade equipment. So everything that was focused into making this building was focused on providing our students with the latest and greatest materials, the latest and greatest equipment, setup that they could provide so that they can get the best education possible. All of these rooms that I'm talking about, and you'll see it in a little bit, have cameras. They have microphones, so that when they're running through the scenarios, these simulations, the instructors can sit in a control room and they can watch them and videotape them. So they're not standing there necessarily with the students all the time. They're watching them run through these scenarios so that they can then play it back for them and let them see how they interacted with the patient, how they interacted in different situations. So that's a learning process, so that they can look back and find out all of the different steps that they took while they ran the scenario. So this is what it looks like, the setup. So you'll have on this side, you have the equipment, and then on the right-hand side, that's actually two different pictures. The right-hand side, the instructor is sitting there at that computer and can look through that window to observe, as well as videotape and run the scenarios. So that way that, scenarios can occur. And so all of these have microphones on the ceiling. You'll see a camera against the wall. They also have cameras for when they do virtual classes in some of the rooms. So they are equipped and ready to go. Within this program, they also provide lockers for their students. So this is a place they can bring their materials, supplies, clothes, whatever they need to, and they have lockers of their own in order to store them. So they provide these lockers for the students. And if you'll look on the right-hand side, I took pictures of their classrooms that they use to provide the class for this program. This program, prior to going to the new building, used to be in the basement of Building A, the one I told you was built in the 1920s. It was down in the basement, no windows, no view, no nothing, down many staircases down. So they got the penthouse view now. They gave them the top floor with the view of downtown. So they, after 30 some years, 40 some years in the basement there now on the top floor with that great view. This is another neat one that you need to see. It's the Emergency Medical Technology Room. So in this room, if you can see in that photograph, they have an ambulance, an actual ambulance setup so that the students can actually get to know what it feels like. So you'll see here what it looks like from the classroom view. They have the table set up there. They have the little ambulance on the right-hand side, and it is set up for accuracy the way it's set up inside, like what you would find, where you would find equipment, what you would find within there. So that at the front, there's a defibrillator, there's a trauma bag that has a medication bag inside so that they can reach in and get the medications while they're treating the patient. And it allows them to kind of get the feel for how much space is inside the ambulance, what the height is like. And it has the height on the outside too, so they can get the feel for when they load a stretcher within there, what it feels like to lift it in there and have a patient on there while you're doing it. And they do have mannequins that they can use to simulate patient injuries, so that they can do different scenarios on these mannequins. And within that ambulance, they have 4 cameras, and then that door on the right-hand side of the ambulance that you see is their control room, so they can monitor those scenarios. So this is what it looks like inside. You'll see the seat right there. In front of that seat is where the stretcher would be, and they would have a trauma bag up here, and they have the defibrillator and all of the supplies. So that way, when they're running the scenario, they'll know how to do it. They also have here how to do intubation so that they can learn how to do that as well. So they have these kinds of like partial mannequins that they can practice on with all their supplies as well. What do you guys think so far? Kind of cool? Very cool. Yeah, it is. It's awesome. Yeah, and it's nice to have that real scenarios. So in seeing all of that with the ambulance, look what else there is on that floor. So within the simulation lab, they have an apartment. So this is what you're seeing in this photograph here. This is designed to be kind of scenario. And it's not just for EMT. It is actually for a lot of the healthcare disciplines to use, kind of like if you were a home health nurse, or running other kinds of scenarios. But the EMS is actually going to be using this as well. So it's going to simulate, so like if you're at home and you're having chest pains, it's like they're going to call the ambulance. So the students that are in the EMS program are going to come and evaluate you in this apartment setting and either treat you there, or it is like a set, or they would transport you. And so they would have their stretcher with them with all their equipment to treat you on site how they would normally before transporting you. So they're actually going to provide the appropriate care and transport you just as they would in a normal situation. So that way they can, experience having tables and chairs and things in the way. And then, instead of just having their ambulance, they actually are going to do the process of what it's like to get someone and then take them to their ambulance and then transport. On the same floor, there is also a phlebotomy classroom. It's actually just down the hall from the EMS. The phlebotomy classroom is designed to prepare the students to be able to perform as a phlebotomy technician. So you'll see you have the arm, you see they have all the tubes that you're used to when you go to the lab. You'll see that they have everything there that you would normally see in that situation. They also have a little bit closer pictures that I received from the director of the continuing ed program. She sent me these wonderful photos. I didn't take these, so I can't take credit for these. She actually sent these photos to me to show up close. Look at the hands. Look how you can look at and see all the structures on the hands, so that when you're learning how to do phlebotomy, you can actually see all of this in color down here at the bottom. and you actually have the chair like you would in the phlebotomy situation, so you can practice all of these situations. So yeah, it's awesome. And then, so this is one that I was telling you is something that's very unique to this building and to the health programs, period. It's called interprofessional simulation. And you know, when you go to the hospital, you're not just dealing with just nurses or just pharmacy or just physical therapy. You're dealing with many different professionals. And they recognize that here. All the faculty here at the college recognize that. So they wanted to develop a place where all of the disciplines could work together to care for patients. And so the students would get to know what that's like working with people that are from respiratory or pharmacy or physical therapy assistants or nursing. So they all work together. The labs, I mean, they can all work together. Respiratory. A lot goes into taking care of patients. And so they have this great facility. And this is just one of the rooms that I'm going to focus on right now. This is an actual cutting edge simulation lab that actually will provide you with hands-on experience, and it allows all of the health disciplines to be within that room caring for the patients. So you'll see it has 7 beds, and in each one of those beds, it's kind of hard to see. There's a lump under those sheets that you can't see. They have a mannequin, and that mannequin's name is Alex. Alex is what's known as a pro mannequin. So you can actually see him laying in that bed, and you see all of the things like you might see in a normal hospital room, right? You see all the things on the wall. You see the monitor on the right-hand side. That black monitor is where the scenarios are run so that they can care for Alex and whatever might be having a problem. And you'll also see the IV setup right there, as well as they have the tray like you would normally in the hospital. So all of this can be simulated. In the picture in the middle, you'll see some equipment there, and that is actually designed specifically for the Alex mannequin. So you can practice. Yeah, it is very real. It has, so you can take the blood pressure, you can listen to his heart, his lungs, his bowel sounds. That little white disc that you see at the bottom with the red handle is actually a speaker. So yeah, you do need the curtains. It actually has a speaker so that when you check hearts and check lungs and bowel sounds, you can hear it. It amplifies it. If you grab his wrist, he has a pulse. If you see here on his face, he has these big eyes. His right eye is actually a camera. So in that pupil in the middle is a camera. So when you're standing over him, you can see what his point of view is. When you're helping him and checking him, you can see his point of view from there. And he talks. And I would show you videos, but I'm not a very good video taker. But he does talk, and he interacts with you with whatever you're saying. Yeah, and he actually understands natural conversation. So I'm going to go to the next slide to tell you about all of his features. He is 5'1" and weighs 45 pounds. He does have an HD camera inside his right eye so that he has his point of view for streaming, and then also for debriefing. When you're done, it'll kind of give you some feedback as to what he saw, right? And his conversation, he activates when you touch his shoulders. And sometimes it takes him a little bit to recognize like the tone of your voice and how you speak. So sometimes he doesn't answer correctly until he starts understanding your language. He has CPR where you can do chest compressions. Okay, so if they're running a scenario of that, it will actually record those compressions, and the vitals will be showing on that screen next to him so that they'll be able to see it. He can breathe. His chest does go up and down depending on what the scenario is. It has a patient monitor that has control of his heart rate, his respiratory rate, his pulse ox. And I looked this one up. I forgot what ETCO2 is, but it measures it, and his temperature. And then the blood pressure has to be taken with that cuff. So that cuff, will give you his blood pressure. It does do lung, heart, and bowel sounds, but you do use that stethoscope that has that little speaker. Again, it does have pulses throughout. You can ask him any questions. In fact, somebody made just an off-the-cuff comment that I think he's depressed. And he says, I am not feeling depressed, or I'm not having an issue. And so he actually is listening, and he responds back to what you're saying. So you have to be careful, just like when you're with a patient, right? So you can actually also catheterize him. This one is a male, but you can actually buy all the features of a female and switch out the skin. Has a wig, makeup, and you can actually switch out the skin, and it actually does come with accurate genitalia so that you can do catheterization for like a male or female. So this is going to be a very accurate simulation process, okay? So here's some more details. If you look at that picture that has those little black cords, that's the viewpoint from his eye. I didn't have enough time to wait for the adjustment to adjust the eye. Oh, there you go, entitled carbon dioxide. Thank you to our librarian who's in the audience. That's what he's seeing through that right eye. So if you're standing over him, your face would be in that picture also. And so you'll see at the bottom, you'll see Nurse Kristen Sanchez. I was actually given the opportunity to listen to his bowel sounds, his heart, his lungs. And if you'll see the screen on the right, it's a little small. Those are his vitals that were running at the time I was doing that. So that's what the students will be working off of as they're working on him. They'll see what's on this screen. So these are what the scenarios look like. You can make him clear his throat, cough, groan, laugh, sneeze, snore, have a strong cough. You can make his bowel sounds normal. This is just what we're showing on the screen. And then there's simulations at the bottom. You can make him healthy, have chest pains, that he was in a car accident, he's confused, he's getting screened for COVID. So all of these can be run by the instructors so that the students will encounter these while they're working on Alex. And this is where the apartment I showed you earlier, this is where it's located, is in this room. There are also multiple rooms within this huge wing of the building. Okay, so that's just one big room with those 7 Alexes. So if you look, there's different simulation rooms for different disciplines and scenarios. So we have a med-surg room, labor and delivery. They have the little warmer right here. They have the pediatrics. They have a crib within that room, ICU, and then you'll see ER. And she told me that there's a different bed in the ER. It's going to be more simulated towards a hospital setting. And you'll see over here they actually have the little crash cart with the defibrillators in that room as well for the ER. So each room can be structured with equipment to make it specific for that specialty. And then I was asking about the mannequins, and I was told that they can actually get actors to come in and act out scenarios in the different disciplines, and they'll even bring in people that act as family members, because not only are you dealing with patients, you are dealing with family members as well. We also have a physical therapy hall. And in one of the rooms, there is a physical therapy table. So you'll see that one on the left-hand side. And many of you may have experienced being worked on one of those physical therapy tables. And you'll see the windows in the back. Those are actually mirrored windows also for the control room, as this room also has microphones and cameras that you can kind of see at the top left of the photograph. You can see the camera on the ceiling, and the microphone is hanging down. It looks like a little white cord hanging down. That's the microphone. And I was told that this hallway right outside this room is going to be fitted with rails on the wall so that people can simulate practicing walking, using crutches. They can put wheelchairs down that hall. This hall also has fitted with microphones so they can watch and listen, and they have cameras so they can watch the students working with the patients as they walk down the hall or use the rail to use crutches. Yeah, pretty cool. There is also a room for pharmacy. So we have a pharmacy technician program here as well. And so the room is equipped with what you would find in a pharmacy. And so they have in this bottom left picture that you see is known as a hood. it actually has a camera inside, so when the student is working with their arms inside of the hood, they can actually view what they're doing. So there's cameras all over this room, just so that you'll be able to see the interactions. And then the window that's right here on the bottom right is simulated so that you would open it to interact with patients, just like you would in a pharmacy when they come up to the window. So that is going to be used to interact with what they call patients. In front of that window, if you'll see a computer right outside that window, I wanted to highlight this. That's where they're going to have somebody who is going to be actually reserving these rooms, and they're going to have someone who's going to be entering reservations for the classes that use these rooms. And what's kind of cool is they have a TV screen off to the far side of this photo, where students will be able to look and see when their room is ready and when their reservation times are ready. Just like it was mentioned, like in the airport, when you can see departures and arrivals, it's going to be similar to that, so that it's very well organized to use all these rooms, since so many disciplines will be using it. Within this area, there's also what are called debriefing rooms. So in these debriefing rooms, that is where the instructor can meet with the students to debrief after clinicals. Normally they do that anyway, but you can also debrief from the simulation, where they can actually show them the videos of them interacting with the mannequins or with the actors or whoever they're interacting with, and helps them to show them, how the interactions were. So there's a small room. If you see, that one's on the left, and on the right hand side, it's a larger room in case there's a larger amount of students, but that room can also be divided into 2 rooms. So pretty cool. And I want to say thank you to Sarah. She was fantastic. She guided me through this tour. She showed me everything about the mannequins. She got them all set up just for me to go and view them. So she's fantastic. So I'd like to say a great thank you to her. She is awesome. So on this building, there are also study rooms. So not just the group studies, these are these are the group studies, I'm sorry, misspoke. These are the study rooms. And I wanted to show you, because I thought it was kind of neat, all of the different kinds of configurations they had. They have the chairs that have the little arm for your book, so you can sit there. They have these little stools that you can sit on. They have just your standard chairs and tables. They have a monitor on the wall that you, I believe, can wirelessly hook your laptop. I think that's what that's for. And that room at the top, it has like these little egg chairs. Haven't sat in those, but those look kind of neat. So there's all sorts of different seating areas. They also have areas that are not within a room, just kind of like you're waiting in between or you're eating your lunch. So they have tables, they have couches and benches, and they have little kind of alcoves with chairs. And look at this table. It's kind of like a high table, and there's plugs around it so you can plug in too. So it's kind of neat. And no, I believe that it's first come, first serve, which is very popular. And I don't think there's a limit. I think you're in the room. So I see one person, sometimes I see multiple, but you don't really see too many pictures of the rooms, because they're always filled with students, and I didn't want to take student photographs. So I couldn't get pictures of them because they were always busy. So which is wonderful. I would rather have that. And finally, I want to show you the view. Like I said, I can't say enough about our view. These were taken through the window of various spots on the different floors. And so again, you can kind of see the downtown, like I saw earlier through the computer lab. You can also see this through the radiography. Sorry, I've been talking too long. The radiography windows. Yeah, it is probably the DoubleTree right there, right? And then the new Bus Star building, you can see it right there out the window. And that building down there on the ground that you see on that first top photo, that's the KTSM building. You see the big things on the roof. Those are the old antennas for the new station, because that used to be the KTSM building. That now belongs to EPCC. That building is part of Rio Grande campus. On the right-hand side, that is the Student Services building, and you're seeing it from the 7th floor. So kind of cool. You can see the whole building. Again, that used to also be a synagogue. Down on the left-hand side, you can see the view off to the left-hand side. You can see St. Patrick's church, as well as the mountains. So that's why I wanted to include it. And then the bottom is a view from the 6th floor, looking directly onto that Student Services Center. So you can see I love all these photos, and I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of help from our Dean, Dr. Hajar, Dr. Thomas Ellie Brock, Sarah, Jeffrey Brockoff from our Criminal Justice, Tim Groover from EMS, Crystal Thompson from the Radiography, Elizabeth Scott from the Dean's Office, James Williams, who's the new coordinator of the echocardiography program, Elizabeth Scott again, I can put her in there twice, Bertha Auckland, who is in charge of the computer labs, and Cheryl Stiles, who is the director of the continuing ed and health programs, who provided me with the phlebotomy photos. So I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know if you have any questions. I'll do the best I can to answer them if you do. But yeah, I got my steps, and I had like 12,000 steps on a couple of days from walking around the building, but you really need to come see this. It's not really going to give you the justice it deserves just by looking at the photos. So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I hope you had a great time today. Please look at the app that's been posted in the chat. That is for our Tejano Passport points. By attending these sessions, you do get points by going to the Tejano Passport page, and you can actually use that link to start getting your points today. I'm also going to share a file for next week's session. Our session on Friday next week at 1. Oh, thank you all so much. On next week, our session is going to be, let me show you. On Friday, it's going to be with our EPCC Mental Health Committee. They're going to talk about resources and services available here at EPCC. So I hope you can join us next Friday at 1 o'clock. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and thank you for joining us today. Take care.